Hello and welcome to this week's CMF Running Podcast. I'm run coach Chris Lucas.
And I am run and strength coach Charlotte Milne.
And we are CMF Running. We help runners and athletes of all abilities train and smash their races, any distance, any surface, marathons, ultramarathons, half marathons, road, trail, whatever, all ages.
And we do it all.
Yeah, we've got a team of coaches that is suitable for all types. This week we are talking about it's race week.
It's race week.
Tarawera. It's race week. Get excited.
Get excited, but not manic.
Get excited, but not manic. So this week is basically just a bunch of stuff, sort of like frequently asked questions, race week kind of things, so we'll cover that sort of stuff.
Quite often when we are, start tapering, and in race week, suddenly there's these niggles that seem to just pop up, and they're often a thing that in the mid-high training, you're just like, it's fine, I'm going to go out for this run. But in race week, they're a big deal, and part of that is, part of our job is to remediate that, just to be like, it's all good, like, what can we change? Is this a problem? And if it's a problem, like, what can we do about it? And then sometimes it's just like just talking and calming the client down, that it's probably going to be okay. And yeah, I think that sometimes when we like decrease our training,
it kind of reveals things that were masked, that were sort of hidden behind just the overall training load and the training that the load that our body was holding. I think sort of holistically, there's this thing of like, we get into taper or we get into race week and the load starts going down and we're sort of like, and there's almost this thing of like letting go. So I think there is, some merit like in that sort of stuff as well. So often, with athletes, we, it's like, I've got this niggle. And it's real as well. Like it can be stuff, but it's sort of like,
how big is this?
And like just to not panic as well. So obviously don't ignore it, but don't panic.
It's like going back to the basics, like, because if you panic and you're stressed, you're probably going to sleep right, then you can't recover. So we're
going to stop the snowball effect, eh?
Totally. Because sleep is where you do most of your recovering. So that's really important, for dealing with these little niggles. And just adjusting the sort of like race week plan can potentially, but it's like when it's really important to have that sort of like one-on-one coach, because you can talk to that one-on-one coach and get a professional point of view.
Sometimes it's just the talking, is the thing too. So we've had a few of our crew, haven't they? We were just little things this week, and I think really all in all, it's going to be all good come race day, isn't it? But I think just that sort of the power of just sharing with another person, isn't it? And getting some perspective and maybe some direction as well around what to do, practical stuff. Maybe it's a physio or some like movement routines or activation sort of stuff. But as well, just the sharing thing, isn't it? Which is quite powerful, and just to have that confidence instilled and that mental stuff. Like nobody. We're racing on Saturday. Sorry.
And I think like part of it. So if you've trained, like for a long time, coming to this race, and so if you've done that, you've obviously naturally got an expectation of how you're going to go on race day, and like this niggle could be like a barrier to get you to that expectation of that outcome. And so I had this with a client who had he's got like an expectation on his race time, and he was like really anxious about his little niggle, if it was going to be like stop him from getting there, and then that kind of thing. And it's just like, first of all, you need to drop that bar of expectation on your outcome, but also like, if you think that this niggle is going to prevent you, it probably will. But if you're like, okay, it's actually okay, I'm doing the best I can, like your body is an amazing thing, on race day, who knows, like it might just like magically disappear.
I've seen so many cases of that sort of stuff. Does even sort of the day before, once you get down to Rotorua and you catch up with some the friend of the nerves. I think all that sort of stuff. Just I've seen stuff like that just magically sort itself out so many times.
Yeah, I think it's just
come race day.
The waiting is the hardest part, like waiting for anything that's good is just hard. You want it to be race day right now, but it's not, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, like I've been nervous this week, eh? Like, well, not nervous, but even I mean, you'd think that I would know, like, you'd think I'd have it sorted, right? Because, coach, done this for years, racing, like, but you're just not immune. Like, we're all, no one's really immune to it. I guess certain personality types are, like, if you're like the real laissez-faire, they're just totally chill people.
Yeah.
Different guys. So yeah, there's some personality types like sort of come into it. But yeah, even I've been a little bit sort of nervous, excited. So I've done things like going for little walks. That's helped. And today I'm going to go to the sauna. That's something, because it's Wednesday and we're recording this, so it's only a couple of days before the race. So I wouldn't recommend, if you've never gone to a sauna, to go and hit a sauna. But sauna is something I do as a health protocol in my general life anyway, so I know it's something that works for me well. So yeah, I'm going to hit the sauna today and, spend some good time. Sauna, hot and cold shower, sauna, like, and that kind of thing. And that really helps, regulate my nervous system and chill me out.
Yeah.
So I'm not like, oh, rest day.
Yeah. Get more coffee into me. Get more coffee into me. Late nights.
Let's have another coffee.
Yeah. Charlotte's away. Let's have more coffee.
Charlotte was away. That didn't help either. Charlotte went away. So you were riding timber trail with your dad.
Yeah.
This week. Like, what was it? Monday and Tuesday, basically. Or Sunday, Monday, Tuesday kind of thing. And, didn't help. Threw me out of routine.
I was having a great time, though.
Yeah. Charlotte was out having fun. I was at home in the bus.
Not really even.
Thinking about myself.
And I wasn't even really thinking about Chris.
Fleeting
thought.
Fending for myself.
I was just like, only thing I was thinking about with Chris was like, man, we've got to come back and run this.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. So, yeah. On this Q&A stuff too, I forgot to mention our friend Gareth Morris, Westy Runner YouTube channel, has put out a bunch of awesome Tarawera content. So you might be watching this later in the year for 25 Tarawera. Your race plans, so that stuff's really good, relevant, and he's also done a Q&A similar to what we're doing.
Yeah, shout out to Westy Runner
with Gareth's slant on it.
Yes.
A lot of similarities to it, I must say. So that's cool. Good practical advice. So race week. I think the underpinning theme we were kind of talking about, or we kind of mentioned at the start too, is excited, not manic. You want to sort of have this this sort of excitement with confidence as well. Confidence is important. But we don't want to get so excited that we're like manic and like on edge, because it's not really good for you, really. It's not really good for you.
Yeah, like when you're manic, you're kind of tapping into your adrenals, and you don't want to be doing that pre-race day. Like, your adrenals are going to get tapped anyway on race day because of the intensity or the length of time. Like, save it for race day.
Just the emotional high of the weekend too, right?
Yeah, and just the afterwards, like almost like sometimes after the race can be like, even on like social media and stuff, like this thing,
the high post week high after an event like this.
Yeah, you always feel good on Monday after a race, and you've got all the good feels, you've done it, you've sense of achievement, all that kind of stuff, and your friend has as well. So yeah,
I guess that's a good thing to mention too, actually, is the week after is which we won't cover too much. We'll probably do some stuff about it, but yeah, you'll probably feel pretty good, like mentally and emotionally, the week after. But possibly the second week after. It's just
when life resumes normality.
Put an asterisk next to the second and third week after the race, might be some sort of emotional come downs and feeling low and down and stuff like that, because just practically and holistically, you just think about what you've done. It's not just the race itself that you have completed; it's the emotional high of the weekend and of the race and the completion of the race and that.
Just like the high, the higher the high, the bigger the crash, pretty much. So if you're going to pump yourself up with a whole lot of this hot air of manic and obsession and all that kind of stuff. Speaking from experience, you know, I've done this. I've like been really quite high, actually even at Tarawera, and I like crashed pretty hard afterwards. And it's just my personality type. It's just a thing that I need to work on. But you know, it's just something that I am aware of now, hopefully. And you could be as well. But obviously you still want to have, you know, you obviously still want to have some of this, because if you don't, then you're going to get to race day and you're like, oh, I just have to run 100
You don't want to be tired on it.
And I don't even care actually now.
So chill that I'm just exhausted.
Yeah. And I'm just here for the food.
So I guess we're just saying be wary of this sort of stuff.
Just be normal.
About the food too. Yeah, just try and be normal. We're obviously not normal. Runner personality types though, eh? We runner type A personalities. I think it's like some of that like come down sort of stuff is from just all the carbohydrates and sugar and stuff you're pumping yourself for over the race weekend.
Yes, I had 5 Red Bulls.
Yeah, you're like
24 hours
pumping yourself full of all this like refined sugars and carbohydrates and like through the race, and you know, Coke and caffeine, and you know, and then post race you're going for pizza, and the next day it just sort of carries on, and
and then you put in the natural like obviously hormones and like adrenaline and endorphins and all that, and you just like it's just a recipe for like exhaustion.
It's quite funny. So just be respectful of that sort of stuff too, post race and all that too. So carb loading, this is an interesting topic. You hear carb loading mentioned a lot around races with varying degrees of opinions. What do we think about carb loading?
Well, I think it has its merit. You know, we were just talking before the podcast, and you know, carb loading is not junk loading.
Yeah. Carb loading doesn't mean junk loading. Okay, it's just
So, you know, if you think carbs, think natural carbs. Like for us, it's like rice, pasta, usually on the sorghum kind of variety. But for you, you might be able to handle like just normal pasta. Kumara, big fan of kumara.
Potatoes,
Potatoes, maybe pumpkin as well, if it suits you. Fruit is also a good carb, but yeah, in terms of like cooking, like don't unless you're making apple pie, I guess. But yeah, the rice, pasta, and root vegetables basically might be a good thing to increase. Probably from sort of Wednesday night, Wednesday outwards, like make a conscious effort to have a slightly more carbs with dinner.
Slightly more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not like
let's not go crazy.
Yeah.
Especially if this is your first time like doing doing a big event, maybe it's your first ultra. Let's just not go crazy. Food is an interesting thing, isn't it? When you talk about it. Opinions run. Food is a very emotional kind of thing, and so extremes run riot. So let's not get carried away like with this sort of stuff. Like, sure, add a little bit more carbohydrates into your meals, but let's not go crazy, I think is the sort of theme of what we're saying. Obviously, if you're the sort of more advanced athlete, seasoned campaigner, you've been racing a while, you know, this isn't your first rodeo, so to speak. Perhaps you've over the time that you've been running, you've come up with protocols that work for you. Maybe you've had guidance from you've worked on it with your coach, or you've had nutritionist or dietitian help along the way, and or just from learning your own things. So for that type of athlete, it's probably a bit different, eh? Like I know for me, like I think I do respond well to like increased levels of carbohydrates like a few days out.
Yeah, for sure. I would probably be the same. And
I think some of this depends on as well, like is your sort of daily diet in your normal life, is it higher carbohydrate already? And that kind of thing. I know with us, what kind of works for me quite well is a little thing is sort of when I'm training in that, it'll be sort of higher carb, that sort of Thursday, Friday, Saturday kind of thing, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of thing. And then my sort of earlier meals, main meals in the start of the week, I tend to favour the fats and the proteins a bit more, and a bit lower on the carbohydrates. So there's a bit of like fluctuation going there on the weekly basis on the training, and that tends to work pretty well. But I guess if you're on the spectrum of high carbohydrate all the time anyway, then I don't know where to go to from there. I guess
keep it up.
Just do your normal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that unless, I don't know, like being maybe like elite or something, like is sort of doing your best and like, you know, not being kind of aware of what you're eating, but don't like be totally like obsessed over it again. Like, because the reality is, it's like if you've like got a crap diet all through your training and then suddenly on race week you're just going to decide to eat like really clean and, you know, good carbs,
heaps of fiber,
you know, that's probably not a good thing to have too much of. But like it's probably, I think food for me is part of training. So if you eat well, you're laying down a good foundation of nutrition, and so when it comes to race week, like you're just fine tuning again, you know, you're putting slightly higher carbs on. For me, like, you know, a good well-balanced diet of, you know, quite a lot of fats and protein and vegetables, and like green vegetables, which is kind of carbs, but, you know, like, so I'm just sort of fine-tuning it. I'm not going from eating sort of crap to eating good. So that's just kind of like something that hopefully you've been aware of throughout your training, that you're fueling your training in a sort of like appropriate way for you, whatever that looks like for you. And, you know,
so I guess that's another thing we're saying, isn't it? Is, you know, sort of the theme of what we're talking about again is, when, you know, just avoid extremes.
Yeah.
And like madness.
Yeah.
The extreme.
Don't suddenly change your diet, go from like, you know, a vegan to a meat eater, like for hard out, like, you know, just kind of things like that. Like, just don't do it. Race week is not the week to like suddenly get a really good idea
to the other.
Really good idea that this might be the answer to getting a good race outcome.
Yeah. Don't suddenly start like chucking in beetroot powder. That was something in the group, in the, you know, one of our members only group chats we're having a good laugh about.
Yeah.
During the weekend, it was like, don't suddenly like throw beetroot powder into a smoothie or something. So week of race week or something.
Yeah.
For the first time, like just things like that.
Just save all that stuff, you know, for afterwards.
Yeah, save it for the training.
You've got the time. Yeah, you know,
that's what training's for.
Time to trial and error these things, and if it goes wrong, it doesn't matter because you're not racing necessarily.
So I guess race evening is a good thing while we're here talking about sort of race night meal, I guess. Sort of race evening routine in general, I guess. It sort of feeds into getting a good night's sleep and stuff like that. So I guess the race evening meal, same again, isn't it? What do we normally have?
Yeah, rice and mince has been a
bit of a classic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Or like, I remember you had like sorghum pasta on the night of your mile.
Yeah. So I really like, I mean, I guess a theme for me on the race night, race eve dinner is along the lines of rice or sorghum pasta. That's something we eat anyway, and like mince, and not too much in the sort of veggies or greens sort of spectrum, I guess. Not too much in the fibrous category for me on night eve. Just a little bit, I guess, is my thing. But I find that rice and mince is pretty good.
Yeah, no, it is. I've had that before as well and really enjoyed it. Found it good.
Keep it healthy. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend takeaways the night before.
I don't know how people do that. Even long runs, like takeaways before a long run, just sounds like
Don't go out for pizza the night before. Some people do though.
Unless you're
unless you've done it.
Yeah, if it works for you, sure. Like
homemade pizza would be all good though.
Yeah,
like that would be sweet. But like, don't go and hit Domino's the night before the race. It's like the most processed garbage. Sorry, Domino's.
Good during the race and afterwards.
Yeah, it's good. I wouldn't recommend it pre-race.
Just have a bit of thought into like what you're going to eat as well. Like, don't be like, oh shit, 7:00. What should I eat, babe? Like have a bit of thought about what you're going to eat and planning, and if you're staying in a motel or whatever, and
take your food
with you. Like, just give it a bit of thought, because the food night before will be good fueling. Obviously, it will be satisfying. It's familiar and it's just easy, and it's just you can go to bed feeling good, opposed to going to bed with sore stomach, or like because you've eaten gluten and you're not used to it, or things like that. It's just like, it's like things you can change.
It's like that huge amount of the sort of what we're talking about, the carb loading thing, like huge amounts of carbs when you're not used to it can cause GI distress as well.
Yeah, you don't want to end up with like a food baby because you've eaten so many carbs and like you're just bloated.
Yeah.
You know, I think when you're bloated, you've gone past the benefits.
yeah. It becomes hard to like drink a bit of water and stuff. Like,
yeah. You're just like trying to shove more stuff down, but you can't, and you just end up dehydrated.
Getting a good night's sleep. So the night before the race. I don't know. Let's face it.
Especially if you're digging into the miler, especially in the 100K, and you know, it's just it is what it's going to be.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, you're not going to have the most amazing sleep unless you're a great sleeper anyway. Like there's a small amount of people that just sleep no matter what. Wherever you put them, they can sleep anywhere. You know, that type of person. So I guess we're not talking to you right now because you're just going to be sweet. But if you're I guess for most of us, race eve is just not going to be a great sleep. It's not going to be the longest sleep, especially if you're in the miler this year and you're driving to Kawerau in the middle of the night for a 4 a.m. start. Although if you're staying in town this year and you're doing the 100K, they're starting at 7:30. It's a very late start.
Yeah, you could get
for
up
100K.
You get up at 6.
Yeah, like so.
Which is very disrespectful.
That's like normal wake up times. So you guys might be having a real good sleep. 50K is an early start this year. 6 a.m. We're getting up at like 4:15.
Yes.
So that's going to be quite an early start.
But again, like that's. I think when you're getting up before 4 is when it's getting like, you know, which the milers will be, obviously.
Up at like 2 or something. Yeah.
But the good news is that your body, your body can handle like that one short shit sleep,
3 or 4 hours,
and then running 100 miles. Like it sounds pretty crazy when you say it out loud, but like provided you've done the training, and you're going to be okay. Back to the training. You're going to be okay. Like
we've done those training runs where you've got up early in the morning.
Yeah.
Stayed up late at night, like those kind of things.
And your body's not that fickle.
Yeah.
And shut down.
My race is over. I only slept 3 hours instead of 4. Oh my god. My race is going to be terrible.
I've lost a limb.
Yeah. So I think acceptance is a key theme of the race eve sleep. Acceptance, because with acceptance we tend to be calmer then. It's like the oxymoron, isn't it? We tend to be a bit calmer, and hey presto, you end up just sleeping that little bit better anyway by not worrying about it.
And don't do a crazy thing like go to bed at 7:30 when it's still light outside and you're like, I've got to get my 8 hours.
Yeah, I've got to get to sleep. Yeah, again, if you're a great sleeper and you can do that, all power to you. For the rest of us.
Don't resort back to those terrible childhood memories when your parents used to send you to bed at 7:30 and you're like, Mum, it's still light outside.
Yeah.
Shut the curtains.
Yeah, it's like 25 degrees.
You're probably still going to be awake at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
AM.
That's just torture. It's just torture. Hey.
Just go to bed at your normal time.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get the amount of hours you're going to get. And you're going to wake up and you're actually going to be okay.
Yeah, 4 hours of quality sleep. At the end, 4 hours of like quality sleep is actually better than 8 hours of tossing and turning. Seriously, like, yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
When it comes to race, mentally too, right? Mentally, tossing and turning, trying to, I've got to get 6 or 8 hours tossing and turning. That's mental anguish, and that's not good.
Because you're probably going to wake up if you've had 4 hours of good sleep. You're just going to say, I had a great sleep.
Yeah.
You won't be like, I had 4 hours, but it was a great sleep. Like you'll leave out the number of hours, and it'll just be. But if you go to bed and have 8 hours and you wake up and you're like, I had a shit sleep. Like,
tossing and turning all night.
It's just
checking the phone. What's the time? Time to get up yet?
Yeah. And it's just like those little things that you're going to tell yourself. Like if you told yourself you got up and said, I had a good sleep, like it's just positive affirmations to yourself, you know.
Yeah, it's good.
Positive feedback. I don't know.
Love it.
And all that kind of stuff can actually make a difference.
I find like sometimes we actually go to bed a little bit later on race night. Yeah, like because we're a little bit like excited or whatever. Yeah, we do tend to go to sleep a little bit later even. Like 10:30, 11 sort of thing, because it's kind of like that thing of like, I'm not quite tired. Let's stay up a little bit longer, watch a bit of TV, relax. Or like sometimes it's that thing of like, you might have people staying with you, or you're staying with your friends in a accommodation place, so you're up chatting, and so then by the time you might just be relaxing that little bit later, and you want to have that wind down period. We tend to watch a little bit of whatever before going to sleep, and it's like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not ignoring those kind of ritual kind of things that you might have.
Yeah, just don't be hard on yourself in your sleep, eh?
Yeah.
It's like what we've said earlier. Don't do an extreme and just suddenly be like, right, my bedtime's 8:30. Even though I usually go to bed at 11. Like, it's just not going to work your body, you know.
Yeah, it's just not going to work, eh?
So
on that, good times to get good night's sleeps are the nights prior. So the Thursday night, the Wednesday night, etc. So focus on the nights earlier in the week to get some sleep. And so, yeah, if you can take Thursday off work or start later, if you're working on Thursday, all power to you. That's an awesome thing to do as well, because you just get that extra lay-in where you don't have to get up early in the morning. And obviously Friday too, if you can. Most people do take Friday off. Especially if it's like a first major thing. Make a weekend of it. Got to make a weekend of it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And simple things like don't make late night social events like during race week.
That's a good one.
Like if you are because if you are going out for like dinner and you're home at like 10 and then you like things like that, like you kind of want to be in bed sort of earlier than maybe normal, but not necessarily asleep more than normal time.
So yeah, because relaxing is great too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, even if you're not asleep, you can be relaxing. What?
Valentine's Day today.
Valentine's Day.
Relaxing.
Yeah. So another good tip is race. Massages with your partner. That's a good thing.
Yeah. There's all those kind of things.
With or without other things that might lead to.
Yes.
That's relaxing and nurturing. Like on a serious note.
Yeah.
It is actually good for you.
Being loving to each other and to yourself and all that kind of stuff can be good for you as well in race day.
Try to avoid arguments with your spouse or partner on race week.
Basically, yeah. Deal with it afterwards or before race week. Yeah. But not during, because all that kind of stuff, stress, cortisol levels, high, all that kind of stuff is not good.
Yes.
Oh, good. Yeah, anyway.
Love it.
Love it. Love each other.
Yeah. Race morning. So you've had an awesome 4 to 6 hours of sleep now. Now it's race morning. And getting to the start line. I think getting to the start line, we've got talking about a warm-up. Like, is a warm-up good for me? I think that's depending on the type of runner or athlete you are, where you are on the field and what your distance is. That varies a bit. So that those two topics, getting to the start line and a warm-up, is kind of two in the same because they kind of affect each other.
Sure, yeah. Definitely.
So, if you're doing the miler at Kawerau, then 30 minutes before the start line. I mean, like getting out of your car 30 minutes before the start kind of thing is okay. Like, so being parked up, getting out of your car 30 minutes before, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and probably most likely no warm-up required.
No warm-up required.
You're about to run 164 Ks.
The first 2 hours of your run are like the warm-up.
Yeah, so just ease into your run as you should. Even like when you're like quite fast, right? Like,
oh, totally.
Yeah, like if you're out there for 18 hours, like it's 18 hours. It's a long time. So in respect, it's still going to be kind of a slow start compared to if you're doing a 10K race, obviously.
Yeah, for our more advanced sort of crew on or people that we've trained for the 100 miler, we sort of recommend that 2 to 4 hours. We use heart rate parameters quite a bit for ultra trail stuff, and for that sort of 2 to 4 hours, we'll give like lower than normal parameters because the individual's tapered and fresh, and it's cooler in the morning and all that kind of stuff. So we give that kind of stuff. So invariably they're getting a warm up.
Yeah, and like even so with you got out of your car and there's half an hour, like you're obviously you have to walk to the start line. You're going to be probably standing up, like you're not really sitting down. So there's like subtle movements anyway. So you are on your feet. So that's enough for someone that's doing a miler.
Just some movement, just getting some basic movement. Whatever things you like to do. Basic movements, move the arms, move things around, bit of dynamic.
It's like kind of like getting
gentle leg swings, just some movement. No crazy stuff, no new stuff.
No strides.
No strides required. If you're at the front 20% of the field, maybe a little jog for 5 minutes. Like, just you probably got if you're in the front 20% of the field, you probably got a bit of a routine that's already kind of working for you a little bit too. Just no like yogi position.
Dogs.
Yeah, legs behind behind the head. Just no crazy stuff again. Yeah,
just do what kind of makes you feel like a bit calmer. If you need to be calmed. And I think that for me, like race morning, and at start line, like I'm physically there, but I'm not really mentally anywhere except for in my head. So like even conversations can be quite hard for me to have. It's just really like short and not very good, but it's just how it is. And like, so don't be afraid to do your thing.
Personality type again comes into it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
because we're a bit different in this respect.
Yeah, I'm very focused.
You just want the race to get on.
I'm just start the race. I'm super competitive.
I am a bit like I do like some time on my own for a little routine, a little warm-up routine. So for the 50k, I'm doing the 50k, and I'm sort of around that hopefully around that 4:50ish time, hopefully under 5 hours for sure, my plan. But who knows, it's been a while since the race, so it's part of the excitement, isn't it?
It'll be fun.
So for me, doing a warm-up is good, because I mean, yeah, that it's kind of like tempo from the start, really, isn't it? More or less. So, and it's just a routine that I like to do as well. So having that time on my own for that sort of 10 to 15 minutes, bit of a run, a couple of little turn the legs a little bit faster, up a bit of an incline. That's the sort of things that I like to do. So a bit of easy running, a couple of hill things, easy running again, and some movement. That's kind of me. And then I'm there, engaged. Then I like to engage with the atmosphere and everyone. So yeah, hence the 4 a.m. wake up time for the Saturday's race for me, because I got to build in a bit more time for a warm up. So I'll get out the car. So we'll drive to Tarawera, and I'll get out the car early.
Oh, yeah.
And be like, see you there.
Yeah. And I'll be at the start line, being able to talk to anyone that wants to be talked to, because I won't be racing.
Oh, yeah.
And
Charlotte, available for talking.
Anyone that wants to talk to me?
Yeah.
I'm here to talk. But
I love engaging. Yeah, I like the social thing. Like as long as I've done my thing.
Oh, yeah.
Then I like the social thing. Yeah. So yeah, it's just
personal preference.
Personal preference with that.
But if you're like a we kind of missed out the 100k here actually, but if you're like a new like first 50k, like what do you think's like just you don't know, so what is
I mean certainly if you're like 5 hours and under, then I think a good little warm up is good. Even 6 hours and under, or if you're like a 6 hourish, just a slight little jog warm up movement is probably a helpful thing. If you're sort of like getting beyond that sort of 6-7 hours and above, not so much,
No, because I think even it's sort of like the nature of like there's going to be quite a few people, so and then there's quite a few people start, and then there's like that single trail, and then you're kind of in the open, and then there's a hill, so
it's not a super fast start.
No, so naturally you're probably going to be going a little bit, you're going to be slowed.
So don't panic about that.
Don't panic about that, it'll be fine. It's not necessarily a bad thing. So where was I going?
So for that 7-8 hour plus 50k, it's sort of what we're talking about with the milers before. Just that sort of movement stuff is good. You don't really need to do a full warm up or hill strides or nothing like that.
You just your warm up will be part of the race. It's like the thing. The run starts at the start line, but the race doesn't start until like 33k. So you got a lot of time to get into it.
Ease into the race.
And
100k's. We've got a few people in our group that's sort of that 10.5 to 12 hour range 100k's. What about them? Warm ups? Yes, I think so.
Yeah,
a little bit of a warm up. Maybe it's like a 5-minute sort of shakeout run, 5 minutes easy. Then get into your sort of movements that you like to do. Some dynamic, dynamic but gentle leg swings, nothing aggressive or nuts. Don't want to tweak something in the warm up. So just stuff you're familiar with. That kind of thing. Arm swings. I like to swing my arms and get my back loosened up.
Yeah.
I get quite tight back and stuff, so I've got things I like to do around that. Maybe you have some engagement, some activation kind of things that you like to do. I quite like single leg, like doing just a few single leg, like little squats, or just to get things engaged and moved. Like that sort of stuff's quite important to me.
Yeah, and I think it's just, again, no extremes. Like some people love like warm ups before weekly runs. So maybe you have some sort of thing like Chris said that you can just go to, and it's just like 5-10 minutes. It might not even be any running kind of thing. But yeah, don't suddenly just see runner who you don't know over there doing the stuff and then you start doing it. Like, you don't need to do that. Just do basically whatever's going to work for you.
Yeah,
and
that
like,
you've done in training. Yeah. It comes back to the training again too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like if you've done the training, and especially if you've worked with someone, then you've probably got something that's already there in place that's kind of working for you.
It's almost like the faster you are, the more in depth the warm up has to be.
Yeah.
Because when I did Taupo 24K, I didn't do enough warm up, and I had too much energy at the start, and I was just like, it was just too much. I should have done a more thorough like warm up.
Yeah.
And I probably would have started a bit better. But so kind of like take in your length and your energy levels at the start line. If you're absolutely bloody fizzing, like, probably get rid of that energy somehow a little bit. You want to be energized but not manic.
Same thing again.
Yeah. So just do your thing. Don't worry about what your friend's doing or not doing.
Self-seeding, start line, you're waiting there 5 minutes before the gun goes off. That's nice. It's exciting. Enjoy that moment. Just self-seed yourself. Try not to end up too far back or too far forward, I guess. That's quite important, actually, like to sort of self-seed, because, if you don't kind of think about that, and then the gun goes off, then you realise like you're stuck way back to where you kind of should be in the field. That can create a bit of anxiety and stuff, especially if you're like racing for a time goal, perhaps sub 5 or sub 6 in the 50k. I just don't want to add like that kind of mental like dribble in those first 5k. That kind of thing.
Yeah. I think it's like when I sort of place myself in a start line, like I look around, and I suppose like I look more around at the females because I'm a female, and I'd like sort of ask my question like, do I look about as fast or as fit as this person? And like I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll just stand here, and it usually works out pretty good, and like I've always noticed in races that there's people around me that I'm like, I'm not sure if like, they probably see themselves slightly too fast. It can happen quite a lot. Don't let your ego dictate your self-seating or your friend. Like just put yourself where you think you will be. Realistically, because it's just going to set you up better. And like ultimately, like it's just the start, and people thin out. You'll thin out, obviously, but you don't want to go too fast at the start and blow up, and then obviously being too slow like can be just as like it's going to be frustrating, obviously. So just be intuitive.
Race day tips. Sort of got be patient, heat, sticking to the game plan. Being patient at the start is kind of what we're talking about, be patient at the start. Just kind of means don't go out too hard, like we were talking about before, giving out a miler and in 100k crews, like using those early parts as a warm up. Just don't go out too hard, basically, especially in the 100Ks and milers.
If you've placed yourself well in the start, like you're just going to be carried at a pace that's suitable for you. So, it's going back to the thing that the race does not start at the start line, like the run does, obviously. But so you're not like really racing from the start line. You're just going out for a tempo kind of run. Quite often that's what I do in like 50k, sort of like more tempo-y kind of pace, and then my heart rate kind of gradually like increases.
Just let things come gradually, like in terms of like how things feel. If you're using heart rate as a metric, like let that come up gradually. Don't be like, oh, my heart rate's low, I'm going to push harder to get it up into zone. Like it's like just let things come up naturally, because you're tapered, you're fresh, it's cooler in the morning, it's like all that kind of stuff.
It's probably like how you would start a 6-hour training run if you're getting into like the 100k 100 miler, like that sort of like 6-8 hour training run. Like when you did that run, when you did those runs, you weren't off you go, you were probably easing into it. You can still do the same, like you're still
you want to do that in race day,
same fitness, you haven't gotten faster or slower just because you've been doing you're tapering. So you should know how to
do that.
from the training.
Trust that.
It's like, how many times can we say training? Do the training in podcasts.
Yeah, if you're watching this and you want to do something at Tarawera 2025, then engage us for help with the training. Like, we will help you. We love it.
Yeah.
Love getting people to 100k, milers, all abilities. Maybe it's a revenge race. Whatever. Yeah, just reach out to us. That's what we can suss you out on all this stuff. And yeah, just be patient in the race. Just be patient. It's like, especially again, I mean, all distances actually. 50k, it's being patient until that sort of 32, 33k mark at the top of the climb on Tiki Tapu Road. It's like it's being patient until there. The 100k and the mile, 100k, it's like being patient until you get to Okataina, which is around the 58k mark, I think. So it's being patient until there, until that turnaround point. The miler, it's being patient until kind of that 100k, at Miller Road, or the sort of 115k-ish mark. I think that's what it is for Okataina. It's just being patient until those periods of the day, and the heat comes into this as well. So, especially with the miler, being patient in the middle of the day. Like if you're that sort of 24, 26, 30 hour plus miler runner, you are going to be in the road sections of the race. So out at Rurufakatu, you're going to have that 13k road section. You're going to be hitting that at lunchtime, 2 p.m. Later for some people. So you're out in the open in the heat of the day, and it's flattish road, actually a bit of a downhill this year because you're coming the other way. So it would be quite easy to like overcook that because you're like, oh, this is downhill, this is road. Your mind will be like, oh, this is running. Your mind's telling you to run, but you're out there in 25 plus degree heat, and if there's no breeze, then that's going to feel very hot. You've got the heat coming off the road and off the farmland around you. So don't be afraid to walk. Like this is where walk run is really good, like in those kind of instances. Maybe in those kind of runnable sections, and you might employ a 3-minute, 1-minute walk, or a 5-minute run, 1-minute walk, or a 10-minute 10 and 1, like that kind of thing. That's where that kind of strategy works quite well. And same again with the milers, like after Buried Village, again, you're going to be out on the road. That might be like late arvo, early evening, still quite warm.
Yeah.
100kers coming back from Miller towards Blue Lake. Same again. A lot of you will be coming back sort of late afternoon, early evening, quite warm. Yeah. So don't be afraid to, be patient in the heat.
Definitely. Very well said.
Sticking to the game plan mid-race, that was something that came up in one of our chats.
Yeah, I think like it sort of varies. Obviously, like if you're 50k and like halfway through the race and you're actually feeling pretty amazing, and the game plan was to be a bit more conservative, maybe you could think like maybe I could push a bit harder. But it's like when you're getting into like the 100 miler, especially in the 100k, like being that bit more patient and just like trusting the process, because like a fleeting thought that I'm feeling really good at 75k's in,
with
to
an
100
uplifting song on the earphones.
Yes, and a miler, like there's still bloody long way to go, and ultimately, if you're feeling good, like doesn't necessarily mean you have to like push harder by like running or whatnot. It might just mean that you could walk a bit faster, or you're just saving energy for later.
You want to be feeling good.
80k's
into your miler.
You
don't want to be feeling rubbish at that point.
Exactly.
You want to just be following your processes, going through the stuff, making sure it feels like easy, relatively speaking. If you're following if you have heart rate guidance, you're just following that. You're fueling, you're hydrating, you're just looking after little things as they pop up. But 80k's into your miler. Ideally, if you've done the training, you want to be still feeling pretty good. Maybe a bit sore, obviously, bit of all over body fatigue, but nothing nuts.
And I think just like enjoy it, enjoy the fact that this feels easy at the moment. And like it's just like for that sort of like easy run that is super easy and your heart rate super low. It's kind of like that kind of feeling. Like it doesn't mean that suddenly like I'm going to do a threshold run, even though I did a threshold run yesterday. Like it's just enjoying the fact that you feel good, and like it's when the closer you get to the start line, that's when you can ask those questions like, oh, I'm actually feeling a bit I'm feeling good now. I can push a bit harder.
Once you get past Okataina and both the mile and the 100k, like
that's when you
don't worry. That's what we advise. Metrics don't matter anymore. Like this is your race now. Like we've got you to that point. And don't worry about heart rate. If you want to use it as a reference point, fine. But don't worry about it. Once you're past that point in the race, it doesn't really matter anymore. It's about intuitively asking yourself, what can I do? How do I feel? That obviously can be a varied answer.
Yeah, because like if you're running, at your pace that you've been doing, like you're probably around people that are similar fitness to you, similar times. So if you see a runner running past you, they're probably going to look. It's probably could be you. They probably could be looking a little bit gassed because they're probably feeling good, and then they get that click in their mind that they're like suddenly want to do a faster time. So here is the time to start running. But quite quickly, that person's probably going to look pretty tired, and you're probably going to pass them like later on. So let that silly sausage do the hard, be the example of what not to do, because that person has been with you for quite a few Ks now, like 80 Ks, and suddenly is starting to feel good and starting to run. Like, just let them do it, and you'll see that they look way more tired because it's probably, it won't take much for it to take a lot out of you because you've run 80 Ks,
Yeah, totally.
So you got to keep that in mind, that you have done 80 Ks and you've got 80 Ks to go. So be wise when you decide to push.
And it's just that thing of being patient too. Like, if you're sticking to your processes, don't be worried as you see the field kind of running away from you, like in the early part of the race, or like you're not really overtaking people in the early part of the day. That's all good. I remember in my miler race at Tarawera in 2020, from about, I was just pretty chill at 60 Ks in my mind. I was like, I feel like I've gone out way too easy and I could have gone out harder. And, but then 80, 100 Ks, 120 Ks in, I definitely wasn't saying that. I was in good shape still then, but definitely and looking back on it, the level of exertion that I put in that first 60 Ks was perfect for that race day. And then what happened to me was, after that sort of 60 odd K mark, I just started overtaking people.
Yeah.
Like no one overtook me for the rest of the race. I only overtook folks, and they were slowing, and I was like maintaining, getting faster.
Yeah, if you're like catching up to someone, you're running and you're catching up to someone, just by simply staying at that speed, you'll overtake that person because you're running faster than them.
Yeah.
And then obviously when you pass someone, it's not the most uplifting feeling, like you've been passed. So that person isn't going to suddenly, do a sprint to catch up with you. And if they do, they're not going to hang on for very long. So I noticed that when I did type 100K, that I was passing people by running at the same speed as I was running it.
Just be patient when you're reeling someone in.
Yeah, because you can just tell, you can see that person ahead of you and they're just like running with a lean, or they're like,
you can tell,
and you're obviously feeling good because you're running at a decent pace for you. And
so this is what we want. I mean, this is what we're preparing our athletes for, isn't it? Is like that last 30 to 40% of a race when it's like it's on, like the hunting is on. You want to be like reeling people in, you want to be overtaking people, you want to be having your best race, and that's what it's all about, putting out your best out there, and your time to shine. That's what it all is. That's what it's all about,
For sure.
Yeah. So stick to your I would say stick to your game plan. If you stick to your game plan for all parts of the race up until that last 30 to 40%, then you'll be in good shape.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
So I guess it's like not losing the game plan in the earlier stages.
Trust the process, trust your process and trust your heart rate. It will get you through.
Yes. So that's pretty much us. Anything else you can think of?
No, I think that's pretty good. I think we've covered quite a lot. And I think that just, listen to this, do it, do your best. And,
have fun.
Fun race. Saturday morning will be here soon enough.
Keep it chill this week.
Yeah.
Nothing new or crazy.
Yeah, no extremes.
Nervous system regulation. Just think about things you can do to calm nerves.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Cool, my friends. Have an awesome weekend at Tarawera this weekend. We'll be around the finish line area in the sort of afternoon on Friday. Bit of a group shakeout run, meeting at 3:30 p.m. reach out to us if you want to join us for that. Come up and say hi if you see us around over the weekend. I think we'll be at Boys Beach quite a lot. Like once I finish my 50k, I think we'll be at sort of Boys Beach, supporting quite a lot, having people going both ways. It's quite a good place to be.
Yeah, and I'll be like Green Lake with Kim quite a bit during the 50k. So earlier in the day, obviously, Chris is running. And again, don't be afraid to come and say hi. I'd be lovely to meet you. And
if you want help with your running, maybe you're watching this in the thought of 2025, Tarawera, if you want some help with your running, reach out to us for that, and we can just have a conversation. We do free coach calls, and we can just have a conversation about you and your running and your goals, and then go from there, see if it's a fit.
Sounds great. Yeah, please do.
All right, my friends. Catch you in the next one.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.